Hi, this is Joe Shea, and it is 3:40 p.m. Daylight Savings Time in Bradenton, Florida on Tuesday, March 13th. Thanks for visiting www.american-reporter, the Internet's first original daily newspaper since April 10th, 1995. This is AR News. At the top of the news this afternoon, the stock market has suffered another dramatic plunge, and at 3:10 p.m. was off 208 points as fears about broader fallout from the meltdown in the subprime mortgage industry rattled traders. In an unexpected move, the New York Stock Exchange delisted the New Century Financial Network, the nation's second-largest subprime lender after Wells Fargo, as its stock fell below $3. The Dow stood at 12,111 with just 20 minutes to go before the close, down 205 points and off more than 750 points since its all-time high just 3 weeks ago. The NASDAQ index was off 42 points, and the price of oil fell below $58 to $57.93. In other news, the Associated Press reported this morning that Democrats in Congress have abandoned support for a provision in the defense spending bill that would require President Bush to gain authorization from Congress before moving against Iran. According to the AP, and I am quoting, conservative Democrats as well as lawmakers concerned about the possible impact on Israel had argued for the change in strategy. However, Democrats continue to press for another part of the $100 billion authorization measure that would require all combat troops to leave Iraq before September 1, 2008. The bill contains more money than the President requested for operations in Afghanistan and combat training and equipment shortages. The Iran measure would have tied the President's hands in dealing with unpredictable and potentially hostile regimes in Iran and taken away an important negotiating tool, Representative Gary Ackerman in New York and other lawmakers said. In other news, there were no reports of damage other than a TV knocked off its stand from a rare 3.6 earthquake that struck 16 miles south of Cleveland, Ohio at 7:18 p.m. Monday night. The quake's epicenter was in the town of Twinsburg. The largest quake in Ohio history was a 5.4 trembler that struck rural Shelby County in 1937. In Paris, Cuban Foreign Minister Felipe Perez Roque told reporters Cuban President Fidel Castro is obviously improving and in regular contact with Cuban leaders. We consult him about different matters and he gives us direction, Roque said Monday. The Cuban official news agency Prensa said Castro is recuperating, doing physical exercises, and is much stronger. Castro came to power in 1959 after a revolution that overthrew Cuban dictator Fulgencio Batista. The 80-year-old Castro has battled health problems for the past year. And President Bush has a meeting today with Mexico's new president, Felipe Calderón, who has been critical of U.S. efforts on drug smuggling and illegal immigration issues. Strong security measures are being taken for the two-day meeting in Mérida on Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, where thousands of anti-war protesters and others are expected to turn out for the visit. High on the agenda are America's immigration policies and a proposed border fence, which Calderón has compared to the Berlin Wall. President Bush said in an earlier stop in Guatemala that an amnesty is not on the table, but that he continues to press for a guest worker program that would offer a chance at citizenship for the estimated 12 million illegals now in the United States. He said a much-delayed new immigration law could be put to a vote in Congress by August. And in other news, the New York Times reports this morning that the White House was deeply involved in preparing a list of 8 U.S. attorneys who were forced from office for not pursuing cases of voter fraud aggressively enough. According to the Times, President Bush spoke with U.S. Attorney General Alberto Gonzales to pass on concerns expressed by New Mexico Republican Senator Pete Domenici and others who had complained directly to the president. All the prosecutors replaced by Gonzales had earlier received glowing performance reports from Justice Department officials. The fired prosecutors say aggressive anti-corruption investigations by their offices may have led to the firings. And an update on this story, Gonzales held a press conference this morning to admit that his office had made mistakes with respect to the 8 fired U.S. attorneys, but that he would not resign as a result. And Rocky star Sylvester Stallone reportedly ran into trouble in mid-February on a promotional visit to Australia when authorities in Sydney seized vials of illegal human growth hormone treatments for muscle building. He faces an $11,000 fine, but was allowed to leave the country without attending court hearings. That's the news for now. It's 11:46. It's 3:46 p.m. Have a great afternoon and a fine evening. This is Joe Shea for the American Reporter.